I'm Dr. Leif Smith, and today I want to talk a little bit about the dangers of ego. What do I mean by that? Well, let's look at it this way. Everybody, I should say not everybody, okay, let's redo that. A lot of people have big egos, which in and of itself is fine, right? Here's the problem. The problem is when we walk around with egos that are really fragile. What does that mean? Well, you ever meet someone and they're easily offended? Of course you have. You ever meet someone and it seems like they tend to get defensive very quickly for no good reason? People that are way too sensitive about things in their life. You make a joke, they take it way too personally. You feel like you cannot, you have to walk on eggshells around them. You feel like you cannot give them feedback you need to give them because they're so fragile. That's what I'm talking about with ego. And the problem is we're living in a society where ego is everything. We live in a society where we're trying to buttress our self-esteem through going to sources that are externally based, such as social media, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, you name it. This is where we go to build our egos. If 400 people like our filtered, okay? We all see those filters. If 400 people like our filtered beach body pics, then we feel good about ourselves, right? And so we build our ego up into this big, fragile thing that can be broken the moment someone makes a comment that we don't like. Another problem with ego is we tend to take everything personally. Now, some things in life are personal. But one of the things I've learned is that very few things in life are as personal as we make them out to be. Most of the time, it's not about me. That's how I like to think. Things are never as about me as I think they are, and they're never not about me. I'm somewhere in the middle, right? I like to tell my clients, I'm always surprised when someone says they were just talking about me. I'm surprised. Someone says, hey, Leif, we were just talking about you. And my first thought is always, why? But then it makes sense. Maybe you're both clients. Maybe you're both friends of mine, mutual friends also. Maybe we go to the same gym and work out together. That makes sense. Okay, you were talking about me. All right. But you probably weren't talking about me for 3 hours straight. Somewhere in the middle, that makes sense. And I move on with my life. Okay? I try to keep a healthy ego. One of the things one of my mentors taught me was that if we can treat our egos less like bubbles that can be popped in a moment's notice, less like bubbles, and we can treat our egos more like skin. Skin gets bruised. The bruises look nasty. They're green and purple, right? They spread. But eventually they go away and we recover. If we can treat our egos like skin, like we would a bruise, we're going to go around being much more effective in our relationships, much more effective in our everyday life, and much more able to function as a non-sensitive human being. And I don't mean don't walk around being sensitive. What I'm saying is don't walk around being overly sensitive and over-personalizing everything in your life. Most of the time, it's not about you. Most of the time, it's about everything else in life. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about the danger of ego. In other words, taking yourself too seriously. I know in my business, being a psychologist, being a high-level psychologist, a lot of people in my business take themselves too seriously. I don't. I'm not afraid of making a fool out of myself because I do it on a daily basis, and most of the time it's by accident. So I've come to terms with this. But I also know taking yourself too seriously is a serious way to get depressed and anxious all the time. I don't want that. I don't want that for you either. Let's not take ourselves so seriously. Let's shrink the size of our egos a little bit. You can have healthy confidence and not be an egomaniac after all. Let's not be so sensitive to every perceived slight from the world. Let's not take everything so personally. It's really not about us, okay? And if we can do that, I think we're going to have a happier, healthier life. I'm Dr. Leif Smith. thanks for listening to my little talk today about the dangers of ego, and I will see you in the next video.